And joining us now is Dr. Stasi Baran and CEO Dr. Jason Fiege with nQube Data Science. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
First, I need to understand, what is nQube Data Science?
So nQube Data Science is a company that works on artificial intelligence problems within the gaming industry. So we work on things like applying AI to slot floor optimization, to AI-driven segmentation, really with a focus on what can we do to help human operators that they can't necessarily do right now. So we're looking at giving them power tools in order to be able to do their jobs.
So Jason, you actually designed this technology.
Yeah, I designed the technology.
In your background, because we were talking earlier, you have a very interesting background too, because you're really astrophysicist, right?
Yep, that's right. When I'm not doing this, I'm a professor of computational astrophysics at the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, Canada. So I have about 25 years of experience modeling data in one form or another. As part of that process, I became an expert on using artificial intelligence methods to solve really big data modeling problems. So the fit to the industry is just about perfect. So I had a solution, and Stasi found the problem, and we were now optimizing and modeling casino floors.
And it's hard for some people to understand and wrap their heads around this, right? Because you were telling me earlier, you said that basically you had a problem and you couldn't solve it, so you developed this technology to solve that problem, right? And this is not your background either. This is not how you started, right?
No, so I actually, for the last 10 years have been, well, not last 10 years, but I did spend 10 years working on optimization methods for detecting breast cancer.
Wow.
And over the last 3 years or so, I was looking for some applications of Jason's AI technology that he invented, and we found the casino floor problem specifically. And since then, we've been tackling this problem, developing really sophisticated models of slot floors, and using AI to be able to make recommendations to operators.
So Jason, how does this work? How does the AI stuff work when you're doing these slot floors, right?
You got a couple hours?
Yeah, like you're talking to a second grader.
No, it's fine. Basically, what we do is we feed in really fine-grained data from the slot floor. So we're looking at a few months to sometimes a year's worth of transactional data from the slot floor. So we see individual events, like somebody put a $20 bill into a machine at a particular time, on some date. Or we'll look at session data. How long did an individual with a player card spend on a particular machine? And then we can actually follow them around on the floor. So what we do is we use that very fine-grained information to model the players, so we understand what the players are doing. We also see the performance metrics on the machines on a very fine time scale, and it becomes kind of a matching problem between different categories of players and different categories of machines. So if I back up for a sec, one of the things that we do is we break players into segments based on their behavior. We also break machines into segments based on their performance metrics, and then the AI system kind of matches them together ultimately to try and drive more revenue on the slot floor. It's a gigantic data modeling problem. It's non-linear. If you make a change on a slot floor, that change affects every other machine on the floor to some degree, because you're pulling players away from one machine or pushing them to a different part of the floor.
I just want to add a bit to that. So I think a good way to think about it is the slot floor is an ecosystem. So any change that you're making to the slot floor is going to affect every other region of the floor. So it's difficult for a human operator to be able to say, well, if I move out this one machine, how is it going to affect my players? How is it going to affect every other part of my slot floor? Whereas an AI can really have that global view of what's going on the entire floor. So as a result, it helps make those recommendations for what to put at specific locations and what types of machines to put.
Are you guys seeing a decrease in just people playing slot machines in general as a result of online gaming?
I'm not sure if we could really speak to that, to be honest. So our focus is on the slot floor. Our focus is on our individual customers and how their business conditions are changing. And for the most part, I mean, things are looking good. So I can't really speak to that comparison, but I can say that our slot play is still alive and well. So I wouldn't rule it out.
There's
that's
still
for sure.
something about the actual
Absolutely.
in-person experience that people
Absolutely.
still want.
That excitement that's part of that live experience.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody earlier today. We were just talking about the millennials and the Gen Zers, and he was saying that it will be interesting to see what happens when those particular generations become 45, 55 bracket. see what their sensibilities will be, you know? And there's no way for you guys to obviously tell us and look at the trends and then tell us what you guys are seeing right now as a result of that.
Well, I know people are concerned about it, and that's kind of where we come in. You know, what I want to do is I want to take existing customers and try and drive more revenue from those customers, while also making the experience better for the customers. You know, a casino that, you know, where players can actually find what they want to play and have a better time is better for everybody. It's better for business, it's better for the players. So, you know, we're doing what we can from a data science perspective to improve the experience for the players and to drive revenue for the operators.
Yeah, the idea is that players that are having fun are also spending money. So we really want to improve their experience, and that's just good for everybody.
The model itself is actually very player-centric. You know, we think more about players than we think about slot machines.
So what happens when you said you track players? I guess you do it through cards, right? Through their card play, right? Yeah. So then what happens if the cards are no longer being used? Do you think cards will always be used? Will there be will there be facial recognition technology?
That'd be great for us. You know, one of the issues that you face when you start modeling slot floors is that not every player has a card. So the ones that have cards, I can literally follow them around on the floor. I can see what they're enjoying playing, where they're spending time, where they're spending money, and I can use that to build out profiles of the players. The ones without cards are hard to understand, but they're still important. You know, they're often half of the revenue of a casino.
Oh, for sure, right?
So they have to be in the model, but we can't model them with the kind of accuracy that we can carded players. So we've developed methods to deal with that, and it's pretty solid.
And facial recognition will just change everything in terms of tracking players. So
effectively, everybody's carded.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, that's a whole other conversation. I mean.
It's a loaded question.
It's very interesting and fascinating technology. I'll say that much. I mean, it would make our jobs easier, but in terms of all the rest of the questions associated with that,
right? I don't putting a camera inside a slot machine, seeing your facial expression. It's funny. We were just talking about that because somebody actually brought that up who does AI as well, and they were like, "What? Wait, so do I need to have a poker face when I play like the slot machine now? Shall I wear like sunglasses or what? Because what are they get?" What's it going to detect? Like whether you're angry or happy or, you know, your emotions, because it's such an emotion-filled, I mean, it is, because it's an emotion-filled game, and you guys know this, and you know when players stop, when they continue, you know if a player's going to come back or not, right? How accurate is your technology? What's the accuracy?
It's actually remarkably accurate. We've spent a lot of time perfecting the technology, and when we model data now, I can model slot floor occupancy down to about 0.5%. And that's amazing because I'm modeling people. So, you know, one of the things that we realized along the way is that an individual on a slot floor, you can't understand what an individual is doing, but as a group, they are remarkably uniform in what they do, and the model is extremely predictive. So when we started doing this, you know, I built my first slot floor optimization program in an evening. You know, I spent 2 hours on this. We were actually reading a UNLV thesis. I wanted to reproduce the thesis, so I reproduced that thesis the same evening I read it. And you know, at that point, I was modeling slot floors. I was optimizing slot floors, but it was a simple model. Okay, it didn't have the kind of finesse that we have today. So Stasi spoke about the slot floor as an ecosystem, and that's really something we believe in. You have to take into account all these interactions. You change something on a floor, that change ripples out across the floor, and understanding how players are truly interacting with slot machines, and understanding how one change in this part of the casino affects the machines surrounding it and in other parts of the casino. That's taken us really close to 3 years to understand. So, you know, one of the things I like to drive home is that, you know, not all approaches are equal. You know, I could model a slot floor the first day I started working on the problem, but it's taken 3 years to develop the technology to the state where I can model it to 0.5% of accuracy.
Yeah, and there are other components as well. Like, for example, once we do take into account the spatial effects, so where do you put machines? There's things like proximity to bars, proximity to walkways, you know, clustering of players. There's all those other components that you have to take into account.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. What you guys do is it's pretty remarkable. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You guys did good.